Welcome to Bike Show UK from the first pro bike custom show at the Doncaster racecourse. It's a chance for custom bike builders and designers from all over the country to come together and show what they can do. And the added bonus is one of them will walk off with the Best Bike in Show award. Typical of these guys is Steve Wheeler from Stoke. Oh, and by the way, that's not a public road, it's a private road.
Did this one last year, came as a standard fat boy. A few pounds later, it's what you see now today. It's a standard motor with a cam. It's got a 230 back tyre. It's got stretch fat bob tanks, paintwork. The bars have been changed. Obviously, all the swinging arm and the back end's been changed. The exhaust, indicators, all the brakes. So quite a lot of work done to it, and it's now coming back in. It's having some more done now. It's having all the front ends being changed on it again now. So it'll be in the shop now for about another few weeks. Rather than building a full show bike, I mean, if somebody wanted a full show bike, then we can do that. There's no problem. But I prefer to build them that people can ride. The guy who owns this one, he went to over to Barcelona last year on it, no problems. And it is a good rideable bike. So. We do prefer building that you can ride as well as just from the show aspect. So, yeah.
The show's been a bit of a trip down memory lane for Steve.
Obviously we got here yesterday and set up, and we just had a walk around this morning, and over on the other stand over there was a bike that I did in 1985 and sold it in 1987, so a Triumph Flow Rider. I've not seen it since, so and a bit of a memory lane thing. So looking at brackets that had drilled holes and done all this lot, so yeah, it's quite good.
Now for something totally outrageous. It's hard to believe, isn't it, that this bike is capable of being ridden on the road.
Last Christmas, I'd been sort of working up to Christmas and decided my Christmas holidays were going to be for myself, and that's when I started building the bike. Started bending some 2-inch tubing up, decided it was going to be oiling frame, and it all went from there really. I wanted over 50 degrees of rake. My last bike had 50 degrees of rake and was fine. And this one I wanted sort of more, but I also wanted to rake the yokes. So I put 54 degrees of rake in the frame and another 5 in the yokes, which gives you the correct amount of trail to help the steering.
Despite his unique and outrageous designs, Vic didn't learn his skills in the custom scene.
It's always been sort of mechanical sort of background, but we did road racing sidecar outfits for 10 years, which we had to span ourselves, repair ourselves and make. We ended up starting at club level and finishing just before the Grand Prix. European rounds in Czechoslovakia, Assen and Germany. And I think the engineering side comes from that, from the road racing.
Not all of Vic's bikes are modern. This one takes its inspiration from the custom bikes of the 50s.
It started life only about 3 weeks ago. It was a frame that was given to me as part payment for work done, just a bare metal hardtail frame. I had quite a few parts in the workshop that came off other projects and decided I would just do a nice little chrome and black bobber. It's all powder coated, it's a twin cam motor with a kicker, which is unusual. Most twin cams stick to electric starts. With it also being a twin cam Harley engine, you don't need to use the motor plate, so I did away with that at the back of the clutch, which makes it quite different really.
Unfortunately, production has been disrupted this year because of one-man airbrush artist, Percy Badbrush.
Percy Badbrush Designs, brilliant guy, really good to work with. We seem to sort of hit it off together, and he knows what I want, and I think the feeling's mutual. He loves painting our bikes now. I've sort of held off this year because Percy had a motocross accident in, I think, November, and had 29 pins in his ankle, and only started work again about 3 weeks ago. So we have no bikes coming out, I don't think, this year, because once you've used Percy, it's hard to go elsewhere.
Not all the exhibitors are British. One notable European is Dutch, rather better known for his drag racing exploits.
This frame is the latest one we did. It's still in an early stadium. The bike goes for approval next week to the German government approval, and once that's finished, we will sell it as a kit bike, as a frame kit, or as a rolling chassis. The frame itself I designed. It's a radical type machine. It's based on the early type choppers, which I think this style is coming back into Europe. This bike is a pretty neutral bike, meaning you see a lot of bikes with long forks and extreme tires that are built wrongly. This one I developed, and the riding has to be the same as a normal road bike. That means it has to turn in corners nice and smooth. It has to handle without shaking the handlebars, and it does. I mean, we did a good job on that one. Yeah, I still drag race. I ride a Top Fuel Harley Davidson 6.6 second bike that does like 210 miles an hour in 6 seconds. That's my kick. I mean, that's my outlet. The job I have is basically an office job. And in the early days I used to be a mechanic. And mechanicking is to me is more fun. But there's less money in mechanicking, so that's why I decided to go and design and develop parts which pays better and pays for the racing.
Tom believes the Doncaster show is a welcome new addition to the UK scene.
I like to see it develop to a yearly happening, because I think a country like England needs a custom show for the dealers to show what they can do, and for the people interested to find out what's available.
Not every dealer is trying to shift new metal. This second-hand custom Suzuki was for sale at the show.
Basically what I do is buy and sell used custom bikes, custom build bikes. The bike that I was riding this morning it's a Suzuki GSXR 1100, built by a guy called Boots, president of the National Chopper Club. One-off frame, 230 wheel in the back, GSXR front end, and it's a proper special one-off bike, you know. It's unbelievable the change, what's happened over the last 10 years in the way bikes have been built. For instance, you've got the size of the back wheels just for starters. I mean, going back to the 70s, you had the 510/16 chop wheels which were fat. Now you've got 300 section ones. You've got all the big aluminium parts and just the paintwork and the general engineering of the bikes. It's just rocketed, you know.
And if you fancy buying a second-hand custom, the price is cheap, certainly compared with the cost of building one.
That bike, for instance, cost over £10,000 to build, but like I say, it's more of a hobby. It's the amount of labour hours for start off, the amount of labour and the engineering what's involved in actually building a top-class chopper. You're never going to build them to make money. It's just the love of the custom scene, I think, to actually put the hours in and the time and the money in them to build them, you know.
But not everyone's here for business. These guys have taken a stand just to show off.
Yeah, we're a group of guys called Hot Rod Bikes, and just like-minded individuals really that like creating custom bikes. We all in our day sort of had stock bikes, and then we went and bought the little stick-on Eagles as you do, and then from there we've just progressed. We're just a bunch of posers, I'll be honest with you. We're just a bunch of posers. We don't sell nothing here, we just show our bikes off, and we just love doing it, just great fun. We're not really interested in necessarily winning prizes. It's about good bikes don't have to go on trailers. Good bikes could be ridden and enjoyed by anybody, and that's what it's about really. We just come back from Sweden, we're off down to the south of France. People say that chops, because of the rake on the front end, they don't handle, but we think they do, and we have a load of fun doing it. So we just travel everywhere we can on it, so it's great fun. There's the Silver Chop, which is a Battistini design and built motorcycle, which John owns. That's got a 124 cubic inch engine in it, and it's basically based around a Ness frame and Ness front end, and it's basically from start to finish, it's a Ness bike. Bob's bike that we've got here, which is the burnt orange and silver, was based on a Softail Custom, and then this was developed over about a period of about a year. It's running a 1550 engine in it with a Screaming Eagle bits and bobs on it, which really makes it quite a lively bike. And this is more of a Pro Street style, it's a little bit lower, a little bit longer, that sort of thing. And then we have another bike, which is the yellow Battistini, which is owned by Gloria. That is again based on a Ness frame, based on a Ness type engine. It's a basic Harley bottom end, then it's just been built up from that. And then my own bike, which is the red Chop over there, which started off as a Juice, and we completely chopped it. So in its entirety, it's a proper chopper because it's been chopped to hell. It's running the same engine, but everything else has been bespoke for it. That's including the tank, the fenders, and then the paintwork was done by a guy called Keith Baker, which is very individual, which I think on the paintwork, it's very individual.
Not everyone is actually displaying their show bikes, and there are many specialists at this show that will sell custom bike builders everything from lights to brake parts, and this ordinary looking Harley has an addition that definitely gives it some get up and go.
Basically it's a stock FXDX Harley Davidson and it has a Magnacharger supercharger bolted to it, basically aimed at the guy that goes to his Harley dealership, falls in love with the Harley but maybe finds the performance a little asthmatic. So that bike is completely stock other than the fitment of the Magnacharger. It's taken the horsepower from the standard 72 to 113, but more importantly it's boosted the torque figure from about 78 foot-pounds of torque to 118. So for power, passing power, it's absolutely ideal. So hopefully it's going to appeal to the guy with the big glide and the big fat misses and all the luggage, as well as the guy that wants to just nail it on the weekends.
Well, with the rain hammering down outside, that's about it from this part of Bike Shows UK. But we'll be back after the break with this amazing machine and a little bit of body art. Welcome back to Bike Shows UK from the Pro Bike Custom Show at Doncaster Racecourse. The sun has come out at last, and that means the chance to try out a new bike or just chill out and relax in the sunshine. An important thing in the custom bike world is of course paintwork, and it's a growing market for the people who make the paint.
We've been set up in Doncaster now 3 years, and, driven out to Europe, but obviously in the UK it's getting bigger and bigger every year. With our products, you can design your own sort of one-off custom job. You can intermix like the candy concentrates into different lacquers or the marbleizer to create our own different effects.
But if you don't want or plain can't paint it yourself, there are people out there who'll do it for you.
It came about deliberately. I used to come to the custom shows here in Doncaster when I was about 13, and I used to dream of painting bikes and cars when I was little. And I figured a couple of years ago that I would realise the dream and give it a shot. And I've got a stand here this year and it's going really well for me, yeah. I've spent the last 24 years as a graphic artist anyway, producing stage sets, all kinds of airbrush work, Photoshop painting, computer stuff. I'd say if anybody wants to go down the route of doing any kind of stuff, custom work, it's good to have a background in some kind of graphics. To try and get specialised in a certain field. And I feel doing the detail work's where I'd really like to be for that, yeah. There is a way of producing a visual on the computer anyway, and I've developed a way of doing 3D graphics on the computer where I can take an idea from the customer, map the artwork onto the items on the computer and show that to the client as almost like a finished job, even though it hasn't actually touched the paint yet at all. So then transferring that to 3D, it's kind of easy because you've thought the process through already. And when you come to paint it, it feels so much easier because you've got that far. And it's good for the customer because they can then see, rather than painting it and saying, look, I wasn't thinking of it looking like that when it was finished, you can actually see the whole job before you get to that stage.
But how does he work out what the customer wants in the first place?
Well, you just try and get a feel for what they're looking for, what sort of person they are, even maybe what sort of music they're into can reflect how you see, what you see in them, not necessarily all the time what they think they want. Sometimes it's good to try and get your ideas across to people, and that can come out with a specific colour, or is someone gonna look right if they've got skulls on their bike? Will they carry that off? All those things can come into play. But I mean, if they've got a specific idea from the beginning, obviously that makes my job loads easier.
Outside the hall, in a big old bus, is another custom artist, but he won't touch your bike. However, he will adorn the rider.
Basically, the people are trying to get their tattoos to reflect their machinery. The machinery is very colourful now, and they're basically wanting their arms, their chests, their legs, the skin that's exposed to be very sharp and clean and bright. You've got a fantastic link between good tattoos and very bad tattoos. The majority of the new tattoos which are out are very colourful, very sharp. You've got a lot of older tattoos built in sort of like the 60s, the early 70s, which are very blurred. You've got a lot of people coming in for touch-ups, reshading, recolouring.
And what do his customers think?
I think the artwork they do now on the custom bikes are just so specialised, and it's something that can be reflected into the tattoos. I've got quite a few. This is probably my 26th tattoo. I just think the artwork now that the tattoos can actually use are just fantastic. The colours are great, and it's a little bit painful, but it's worth it. It's worth coming down this way to get it done.
Away from the arty side of things, the biggest change in the custom scene has got to be the passion for big, fat tyres.
Well, it did start sort of late 80s. We then brought out the then widest tyre in the world, which was a 180 section, believe it or not. And it slowly progressed into a sort of, if it's the widest tyre, people want it on their bike because it is, you know, it's a big statement, and they build the bike, the custom guys here, as you say, you know, they build the bikes around the tyre. They build the wheel, then the swinging arm, so on and so on. And it's progressed up to this big monster radial. This is the widest tyre in the world at the moment, in mass production, sorry, in the world. It's 300 section wide, 300 millimetres wide at its widest point. And it's been out 3 months. Obviously it's been in development for quite some time. But by sheer demand from America, we've got orders for over 3,000 in its first 3 months in production. Before this even hit production, we were asked to produce a larger one, which is already starting to sort of become a reality, which is around about the 330 mark. And where it stops, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
The custom scene is usually associated with small specialist companies, but now even the big boys want a piece of the action.
Basically, Honda America, when we launched the VTX 1800, said we've got to do something special to celebrate the fact that this big bike with an 1800 V2 engine is coming out. So I took an engine along to Jesse James, dumped it with him and with a suitcase full of money, and said build us something special, and that's what he came up with. It really harks back to cafe races, that's where he got his inspiration, but it's just a pure work of art. I couldn't get anything official from Honda America, but the rumours are it's about $250,000 US. So it's a unique bit of kit.
Honda's other star exhibit looks like a one-off, but isn't.
We got the Honda Rune, which has gone into production over there. We thought we'd bring it over to let people in the UK see it and gauge their reaction. It's not a bike that we're currently bringing in, so we want to see what people think, and we'll make a decision from there. It's unique. It's basically got the 1800cc Goldwing engine as a base, but then as you look at it, everything is just totally unique. Single-sided swing arm. Basically, it's a work of art. Went into production in the States earlier in 2003. One of the first customers was George Clooney. He actually bought 6 of them, one for him and five of his mates, so they can have a run. Selling well. Like I say, it's just a decision as to whether we're going to bring them over here or not. Probably looking around about the £20,000–25,000 mark, so it's going to be an expensive bit of kit, but it's going to be very exclusive as well. There's not going to be many around if we do decide to bring it over. If you look at certainly the Rune and also the F6C before that, had a great reputation for their performance. The superbike market, particularly in the UK, is shrinking, so we're seeing a lot of people get off of sports bikes and wanting something different, and they seem to be going for these big cruisers.
Honda aren't the only manufacturer promoting performance cruisers. Triumph have just come out with something even bigger and a lot cheaper.
It was designed by Triumph to be the biggest production bike ever made. I think the plans were on the table in 1999, and sales was started on the bike even before it went to the NEC last year's show. They decided to put the 3-cylinder on it. It's a 2.3 litre, 147 brake horsepower. Hell of a muscle bike, hell of a bike. You need to ride it. You need to ride it. Without going into the numbers too much, they've just they basically doubled the sales. And like I said, people were buying it even before it was launched. If you wanted to buy one now, all the 04 models have all gone. 05s will be coming out in October, and if you order one today, you'll be able to get one in October.
So why is it that so many people have become so keen on this kind of bike?
I think loads of the cameras are going up. People are being a little bit defensive of the licences now. People are losing the licences with the fancy sports bikes. It's so easy to do well over 100 mile an hour, and I think at this, at 70 mile an hour, you know what speed you're doing. I've just recently spoke to a gentleman who's had an R1, who's fed up with the speed cameras. His wife sat right high up on it, not very comfortable for both of them. He's still got the awesome power of it, like his R1, but a lot easier to manage. A lot easier to manage. The Honda's just recently brought one out as well. Kawasaki's wanted to go the bigger one and everything like that. I think they're all going a little bit this way. They've gone with the sports bikes. There is, as you see here, these people looking at it, it is starting a trend now.
Harley-Davidson is the name that most people associate with cruisers, and their offering is the gorgeous V-Rod.
It was a change in emphasis and probably geared to the European market a bit more, and movement to the water-cooled engine. So it was quite a new invention for Harley, but keeping with their traditional looks and past history in the V-twin development. The V-Rod has been very successful, extremely successful, and from our point of view, in the two dealerships that we own, it's been the biggest selling individual model for the last 2 years. I think it is a trend that's going to continue. I think there's definitely a shift especially in the UK market, for people going to bikes that are more the custom cruiser, and what we find ourselves now that people are moving to that riding style more often.
But can Harley take the heat as the competition gets red hot?
We think it's great. The more bikes that come out from other manufacturers, they're all trying to keep up with Harley and to make that widens the market to a wider range of people, and we feel that we're there to compete with anybody. Our product stands ahead of anybody.
Well, if the bike market here in the UK continues to change and people move away from super sports bikes, the custom scene can only benefit. And let's hope that it grows from shows like this. That's all from this edition of Bike Shows UK. Till the next time, I'll see thee.